This is Keith from DD Trader. How are you doing? Yeah, we just thought we'd come on today for today's live kind of broadcast for the precast for the week. And if any of you guys had been following me previously on some of my live shows, you know that we basically are presenting this for our YouTube channel now, where we're going to be kind of doing a pre-market analysis of where we're at. For some of you guys, it might be a little bit strange because we're going to be talking about some kind of new concept, or well, they're not new, but concepts that we use here in or at DG Trader. And you know, I personally have been using for many years now to help me kind of conquer the market with consistent trading, and that's where we want to be. So without further ado, back on the 23rd of July, I think it was, or sorry, no, not of June, we had Brexit, and now we're looking at the GBP USD chart. Now, for some of you guys, you might be wondering what the setup is here, and basically this is just a standard chart, bar chart, and at the side here I've got a volume profile, which is basically telling me how much volume is being traded over a period of time, right? So if we look here, we can see this was the Brexit coming in here. That was on the 23rd, I think it was. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Right, and what we had there was, you know, a massive drop on that particular day. So I'm looking at a weekly chart, aren't I? Here we go. So it's starting the week of the 20th. But if I change this to a daily chart, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So basically, on the 24th, we had Brexit. Yeah, and basically that started on Thursday night and finished on the Friday. So yeah, we had a massive fall in the market. That was kind of unexpected, and ever since then GBP USD has been kind of languishing down here at the kind of sub 32, sub, you know, bouncing off of the 30 kind of mark. So it's 130 and 132, and kind of just kind of bouncing in between of those. So, you know, it's kind of difficult to say what is going to happen with GBP USD. You know, I know that the market is basically projecting that you know, it's going to go long. You know, the sentiment is long, so it's going to start to rise. But you know what, I am erring on the side of caution for the moment. You know, it's no doubt in my mind that the market is going to turn around, but you know, precisely when it's going to do it, I'm looking for, you know, some key indicators to kind of help me with that. You know, you can see that the volume profile down here is beginning to build, and it has been building, you know, for a number of days now, since the 20th, and it's about a month, right? And you know, we've hit the low value node, and we're just kind of bouncing off of that, you know, on a day chart, kind of just bouncing off of that low value node, coming up again and then coming back down again, and it's, you know, kind of reaching this high value node here, and you know, kind of, you know, it's getting degraded. So it could go either way. We could be seeing a further fall in GBP USD. It really depends on, you know, what happens with the US currency. At the moment, US currency has been kind of all over the place, but we are not seeing a, you know, a definite yes or no in what's going on, and I suppose that kind of sentiment is kind of echoed throughout Europe at the moment, right? So GBP USD, not really having a look at that, but what we can do is, you know, do a what if scenario, and we very often do that using volume profile on a day chart. We know we're kind of ranging, and it's kind of consolidating within this sort of 132 130 area, right? However, we don't know, you know, where that consolidation is going to be, whether or not we're going to get signal for a buy or for a sell. Okay. So what we can do is just have a look quickly at the, you know, the kind of range that we're playing with, and basically it's the whole of this area here. So as I said, you know, that 132 area is up here. You can see it quite clearly now, you know, on a day chart, on an hourly chart. If I go back, sorry, if I go back and have a look at, you know, what was going on, you kind of see, you know, that was the end of Brexit there, you know, where we were down at the, you know, the lows, and then we kind of came back, and now we're sitting in this area here, kind of consolidating. Now, for me, what I'm looking for is an entry point, either for a sell or a buy. And you can see that, you know, I've got kind of low value nodes at the end of this range here, and then, you know, another one right in here. At today's activity, you can see that it's bounced off of this low value node. And, you know, what do we know about low value nodes? Well, we know that it's like a ball kind of racing through or bouncing off of a wall. It tends to, price doesn't tend to stop through there. It kind of just pushes on through. However, you can use it as a kind of marker. Now, if any of you are wondering what the hell am I talking about when I speak about low value nodes, we have a very good basic course available. It's called Trade Funnel. And that is really where you need to go if you're new to this and you really haven't got a clue of, you know, what I'm talking about, but, you know, you find it interesting. You need to get a hold of that course, and we'll drop in the web address so that you can, you know, get yourself a copy of that. Okay. All right. So we're talking about GBP USD. And, you know, what's happened today in the London session, we kind of opened up early in 131 range. And, you know, we had a, you know, quick sell off from basically yesterday's activity. So this is us today. All right. And, you know, we've steadily kind of moved up, right? What I'm looking to see, what we've got here, the green line, my annotation is basically the dotted lines are low and high value nodes. Red indicates a low value node, and green indicates a high value node. And that is basically derived off of this chart right here. Okay. This is the chart right here, there where the information has come from. Let me just check that. Daily 9. Let me have a look. Just make sure we're getting the right information here. Now, for any of you guys who are wondering, you know, what this charting package is, it's Sierra charts. We use it extensively here at DG Trader because, you know, it's very, very accurate, and you know, we get to use a volume profile, which is one of the key kind of indicators we use over here, to help us identify where, you know, the high traffic areas are, where value is being in accordance to price. And, you know, what we say about that, where there's value, that means you've got literally buyers and sellers congregating. So, you know, maybe that's a good place to have as an exit strategy, because, you know, you can get rid of your product, right? So, you know, you've got currency, you want to buy or sell it, then, you know, there's and if there's a lot of volume there, then that may be a good place to sell it, right? So yeah, so basically where we are now, we're looking at GBP, and what we're saying is that today we had a little bit of activity, and you can see this morning it kind of opened up for a couple of hours and then just kind of drifted down slowly back to the 130 kind of range, which, you know, we've got a low and a high value node just kind of sitting there. It pierced that and then basically just retreated, and now is kind of working its way back up steadily. So what we may see, for me, what I'm looking for, because I can see that you know, we've kind of breached the POC, right, and we're kind of back on to a low price is kind of moving back down again. Yeah, you can see where the POC is, and the POC is basically indicating where there is the highest value, right? So by that means that the highest volume. So by that, what that means is that buyers and sellers are congregating together and doing a lot of buying and selling, right? Now, for me, that's not a place where you want to be. You want to kind of be on the outside of that, where if you're going to buy or you're going to sell, you want to kind of get out of this traffic area. And you can see this is where you got the highest volume. It's usually where the buyers and sellers congregate and spend the most amount of time. Right? So for me, you want to be outside of those areas in order to kind of get get value. So obviously, as a buyer, you want to buy low, and as a seller, you want to sell high, right? So so what I'd be looking for here is that it's already prices basically drifted up and gone past that high value node, right? And we can see that over the last few days we've had a kind of consolidation in this area. So we can see POC. There's been that kind of rise. It's kind of rised up. It hasn't quite come back down again. So the POC is where the kind of magenta line is, right? And we've seen price kind of move up steadily, right? So what I'm basically looking for is for price to come back down again before I'm going to make an entry here, and perhaps touch this line again, this low value node again, and then move up. If it doesn't do that, then I'm looking for price to kind of steadily move up through to the 132 zone, right? Now for me, this is if you're kind of a range trader, right, then this is great, right? So you basically come down to the bottom of the range, you've gone all the way back up to the top of the range, you come all the way back down to the top of the bottom of the range, and now you look like you're coming back up again. And quite clearly you can see this activity happening. If I just flip over to another chart that we're kind of using, this is kind of giving us a Bollinger Band, and we've got some RSIs and stochastics on here. Now we use that on our longer term planning, right? So if we're looking for where there might be a crossover on the RSI or the stochastics, we use that to kind of give us an indication that there may be a chance to get in and do a trade there, right? So any of you guys that have used RSI stochastics will know exactly what I'm talking about, and certainly some of you guys that have been trading with me for a while will know what I'm talking about. Here we're using the Bollinger Band just to kind of identify what's going on, and as I said, here's the range that we've been playing with, right? So I'll just put in some lines around that. That's that range starting. Well, actually, let me get rid of that. Just go back there. I'm just going to draw in something right here. So if I just put that in there, you can see this is where we've been at with this range, and it's just been coming in along here. So we've kind of just been bouncing from the top of that range to the bottom of that range for a number of days, and what we're really looking for is either a breakout one way or another, right? Long-term vision, this is the day chart. If I even move this over to a weekly chart, the weekly chart is basically saying we're right at the bottom here, and we've been languishing at the bottom here. So really we're definitely oversold on the stochastics, not quite on the RSI yet, but really we should be moving up. But who knows? The market is really weird at the moment. So going back now to our hourly chart, what we're looking for, if the market is trying to move higher, which I don't believe it is, I think it's going to start to creep down a bit lower. I'm looking for either a break at the 130.75, and then for price to break through that, and then kind of try to bounce off of that 130.75 line and then move down and away, right? So what I'm talking about is price moving away from, sorry, let me just get there. Yeah, price moving through the 130.75 and then proceeding to move even lower down. If that doesn't happen, and that is a long-term play, right? So if that doesn't happen, then I'm looking, and we get a bounce off of there, then I'm looking for price to move up if I decide to play the range. For long-term play, I'm looking for price to break through the 132, right, and then move up, and then continue to go move in an upward direction, and therefore breaking the trend and you know, basically moving up through to 133.60 or something like that. All right, so that's GBP in a nutshell. I'm going to go to some cross currencies now, just to that we've been looking at and that we're currently trading at the moment. So bear with me. Right, okay, this is an interesting one. We've been looking at CAD CFH, and that kind of took place today. We got in there, you know, quite early. What we were looking for was, obviously this was breaking down over, you know, the last couple of days, and if we look at this on a weekly pattern, so you know, why do we do that? Why are we looking at price and what's actually going on, right? Well, what we're trying to do is trying to get a bigger picture, and now we're looking at the weekly. We're trying to get an idea of what's going on, what price is trying to do over a longer term plan, right? One, to get an idea of trend, and two, to give us some kind of construct under which we can, you know, form a reasonable hypothesis of what is going to happen, right? Now, for those of you who haven't been with me before, you'll know, you won't know exactly what that means. What that basically means is that we come up with various, when we're doing our trade planning, we're coming up with various scenarios. So if if price is going to sell off, then what are we going to do? If price is going to buy, then what are we going to do? If price is not is in between, then what are we going to do? So we literally place ourselves in a position where we set up for the day, kind of saying, well, okay, if price does this, then we will do that, right? Now, there is no guarantee, as you know, it's a kind of 50-50 thing with trading, right? So, you know, there's no guarantee that either scenario is going to work, or both scenarios might work, or one might work. But, you know, by doing some careful planning and having an overall context to what is going on, so we looked at the weekly chart and then we kind of drill down and look at a daily chart. We know that the trend is moving steadily upwards. So if I was to basically draw a line, a trend line from here to there, it would show me that price is moving up, or even from here to here, price was moving up. Let me do that, because that just makes things easier. Price steadily is moving up, so we've got a few touches. Got one touch, two touch, yeah. Just make that another color so we can see it a bit thicker. Okay, so we've got a trend line down here, right? We've got a trend line, and we can see that, you know, what we want is three touches. So there we go. Right, we've got a trend line, and basically his price is, you know, has come down to that trend line a few times and basically moved up again, right, on a daily chart. So we can say that there's an upward trend, and there has been from, you know, when was it, 2000, beginning of 2016, and you know, we're still on that upward trend. Right now we came back down to a high value node, and you can see that's been like a floor right here, right? That green dotted line has been like a floor, and price is basically, it's gone through it a few times, but it's come back up to that floor and basically traded away from it. Okay, so if we take that down and just have a look at the volume profiles on a daily basis, and then we can do a little bit more work and find out exactly where we are. As I said, we'd already traded this morning. We were looking for it to come down and hit that floor, and it did. Yeah, you can see that volume was thicker at the bottom, and basically when you get a kind of upside down, this is like a D. Yeah, you really price has got really no choice except to search for better prices. For us, it was always going to be a buy, and literally we've come back up to this POC area here, and now it's just basically selling off from the buy, so everybody's going to be getting out. We're at what time are we at now? London time, we're at 4:13, and in America it's about 11:30 New York time. So 11:13 New York time. So price is basically moving around there. Now, what do we expect is going to be happening if we're looking for this at a longer term? We've seen price come down, right? And it's hit this high value node. It's basically, steamed off and gone steaming through, and it stopped here at 751115. Okay, and we can see there's a little bit of indecision going on here, right? What I'm expecting will happen is that price will fall back down either to this first line, to the top of this kind of value area here, or let's get a hold of that. Right, so that's where we are. It will come back down to this area here, or go through it and then proceed to move up. I am really thinking that this is a long term, so we're looking at CAD CFH, and if you guys are already in there, you know that my ideal target area is in this region here. So we're looking at 75,600 as being the target area for that if it continues to move up. Okay, we've already taken our profit off, and we are riding now to see our second target and see if we can get there during the course of tomorrow or Thursday, right? So we'll be reporting back on that with you next week, and you see how well we actually did and if our theory is right. Okay. All right, then. So those are the two items that we've been talking about for this week. You guys who've been trading with me before will know that we have a beginner's course, which basically tells you all about auction market theory and volume profiling and how we use it to help us identify the entry points. And what the market and letting price tell us exactly what it's trying to get up to by putting everything in a context. And there's loads of great stuff in it. And at the end of this video, if you look on YouTube, you'll be able to see a link that will take you directly to that page, and you can pick that up. Okay, it will definitely help you. Now, don't forget, we've also got on Facebook, we have our, once you purchase the basic package, we have on Facebook DG Warriors, which literally will give you an insight to the market on a daily basis. And we give our trade setups of a morning, and we also give a few signals out. Hopefully people will be able to get a hold of that, and literally there's a little bit of a community there, and people can talk and chat and see how things are going. I pop in and out, but it's well worth getting hold of the well, if you're new and you haven't got it, basically getting a hold of the course, the basic course, which will basically give you an insight into volume profile and volume market profile and price analysis and how we do it, enabling us to pick out valuable opportunities, even for the beginner. All right. Okay. All right. So moving along. All right. So basically, what we're kind of playing with today is the CAD CFH. As I said, we're already in that at the moment, and we've been there since what time? Let's have a look. We made an entry just here, so on this second part. So what time was that? That was at 11 this morning, and we've already, we've got, what have we got? We've got over 100 pips already, well over 100 pips already, just out of this one trade. Now, as I said, we're going to leave this running for a number of days because our second target area is way up here. All right. So let's move on and just do one more currency for the week, and we'll come back again next week. Now, if you guys have got any questions whatsoever, this is going to be going on the YouTube channel, on my personal YouTube channel, and also on DG Trader. So if you've got any questions or anything that you want to discuss, then just drop it in the comment area, or indeed just send me an email. You can send me something to info@dgtrader.co.uk, or wait for the next updates for next week and just see how well we do. There'll be, we'll do a little bit of a presentation, and also on the YouTube channels you can pick up some examples of other trades that we've been doing. Or if you really want to get into it, why not join me on my morning sessions where we go through it fully for the week, and try and identify areas that we're going to get into on the morning sessions. And there's a lot of exercises that we do, just to set our trades up, and we talk about different scenarios and how we're going to approach that. Okay, so let's do one more currency where we've been looking at, and that is Gbp Jpy. All right, and again, it's been carnage with JPY. It's just been falling right up until obviously we had Brexit, and then that kind of went down. And now again we've got this consolidation area. It kind of broke out of there today, all right, and has hit the lower end of the Bollinger Band, and again we're looking at a daily chart. So let's just move that to the weekly. The process is always the same. We look at the weekly chart, right, and try and determine where the market and what the market is trying to do. So we get an overall context, right? So the market broke down through Brexit and then had a further push on a weekly basis, and then last week it literally, or the week before last, it literally tried to recover that last big push from Brexit, and is literally trying to move its way back up, right? However, it's in consolidation at the moment. So that's the weekly chart. So now we can move down and have an idea of where we are with the daily chart. We can see that literally that is where we are at the moment. So we had that consolidation, very similar to GBP USD. However, it today broke through, and I just think that's from the problems that they're having in Japan at the moment. Now, whether or not that will continue, I don't know, but we need to see whether or not there are opportunities for us to capitalize. Now, some of you guys have been telling me about volatility and your stops being compromised. Now, in this time, this is a very, very unusual time, it's particularly when you're dealing with European currencies like Euro, GBP, and anything US backed. There is a lot of volatility in the market, and what that means is that there are a lot of players, right? So with that, you may get quite heavy swings to the up or downside, right? So if you've got your stops in place, a lot of you guys might be being stopped out because of the increased volatility in the market. Now, that is not set to change, right? Over this period of time, right up until Christmas, obviously we've got the US elections coming up. So there's going to be, and right now we're in the earnings season. So there's going to be a lot of volatility in the market right now. And, we've got to be mindful of that. Now, how do you deal with that? Well, the first thing you can do is, you have to become better at your entries. And, that's, being a little bit more patient when your entries are either broken. I'll give you an example. There we go. So I'm looking at an hourly chart now, right? So what we were initially looking at on GBP, what we were initially looking at on the day chart is basically this area here, right? So I'm still looking at that now on an hourly chart, and this is that area, and you can see that it's starting to move back up again, right? What I was initially looking for was it came down to this low value node, and on this chart it's got my monthly high value nodes are, my weekly high value nodes are in orange. So it's came down to this area. It hasn't quite had the momentum to move down into this area, although today they'd have a bit of a rush, but it's gone back down, it's gone back up again, or it's slowly creeping back up again, right? Now what I'm looking for is basically this to close out and tomorrow to start again, and it to kind of be in this area here. I'm not really looking for the POC to move up any higher. I'm looking for a new day starting, and a POC being around in this area at the 137,600 area for a new day, and for price to move back down and then try and move up, right? So if price comes back down to this high value node, what is a high value node? That means that there's a lot of volume there, right? Well, previously there's been a lot of volume there, and price is kind of picking up on that. The buyers are selling off in the morning and literally picking up or getting back into the market and trying to move price higher again, right? So that's what I'm looking for. However, we were talking about volatility in the market. Now, an ideal way to look at that is that volatility in the market would account for, if you were the wrong way here, let's say you were at 138,700 and you were looking to buy, what you would have been, but you were looking to buy at 138,700, and you had a stop that was literally here at 138,430. That's kind of a 50 pip stop or so, right? And you got stopped out, right? This time of night, which is basically talking about Japanese yen, this time of night you're not looking for that level of volatility, right? Because basically the market is closed. It's not closed, but you're not going to get a high volume. And what you've got here is maybe a bank or some institution coming in and forcing price down and moving through, right? Now this level of volatility is basically unprecedented, but what you can do to kind of counteract that is to be patient, right? Is to be patient. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that price is going to move back up to 138,035, but I'm not going to take this entry, because I'm looking for price to move up. If it goes through to 138,055, I'm not looking to take this entry until price has broken through this 138.55 and then comes back and tries to retest the 138.055 area again. Now, if that happens, and usually it's 1, 2, 3 times, then in this level of volatility that's actually in the marketplace at the moment, then I know, right, it's probably unlikely that it's going to move through that price again, or that price level again. So I'm sure that I can get in here and start buying, and price is going to continue to move up, right? Now, what you may get is price moving up and down, and getting huge swings through that. But it's really just a case of sticking to your stop at whatever level you can afford, or whatever level of risk you are able to get to, and basically, holding on to the trade as long as your stop isn't broken, right? But again, the key thing in trading today with high volatility, and a lot of other institutions won't talk about what volatility and what it can do. The point is that if you've got a high volume currency and people are getting into it, then it's going to swing about all over the place, right? Particularly when the currency first opens up in the morning, and then at the close, yeah, and maybe at the afternoon, in the afternoon as well. All right, so those are the times when traders and institutions are, or maybe not, small time traders are getting in and out of trades. The first thing in the morning, they're getting in, so you're going to see more swings than you would normally do. Or a higher level of swings than you would normally do. And then in the afternoon, when they go to lunch, they're closing out their positions and saying, okay, that's it. And then again in the evening when they're going home for the day, right? So they're handing over their trades to their clerks or whatever, and they're closing out those positions on their behalf. So you're going to see, quite a lot of swings happening at this time because people are basically nervous. They're nervous in the market, right? So what you've got to do is pick those times outside of those areas. So for me, this is a long-term trade, right? I'm probably going to be in this for, maybe 3 or 4, maybe even a week or 2 weeks, depending on how long it takes to get to my next target, right? Now, if that happens, then, I've got to be able to absorb the volatility, and a lot of that has to do with patience. So I'm not going to get involved in this particular trade. We're not going to get involved until it moves above the 138.055 and then comes back down and tries to retest that area again. Then at that time, then we're going to get involved and try and push price right the way back up. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Those are the 2 trades or 3 trades that we are looking at the moment. As I said, we're already in the CAD CFH, right? And that's kind of just moving along nicely. All right. There may be a second bite of the cherry here. It might actually come back down to this region again, but we'll see. And if it does do that, then perhaps we're going to put some, add a little bit more and watch it rise up. Okay. Yeah. So we were looking at CAD CFH. We had a quick look at GBP, Japanese yen, and also at GBP USD, right? That's where we're at the moment. So there's kind of an opportunity for you guys to get involved. Again, if you really have no clue, or you're just starting to look at this and thinking, well, it looks interesting. Perhaps it may be worthwhile just getting a hold of a copy of the trade funnel, which is basically a beginner course, and that will kind of take you through the beginning steps of understanding market profile and analysis, and volume profile analysis, and really give you an insight into how you can use these methods to help you get into the market pretty safely and obviously get back out again with consistent profits. All right. So if you like what you've heard here today, please comment. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys are thinking. If you want to get some more information from me, or perhaps you might want to join us on our morning sessions, which happen 3 times a week, where we go through complete setups and scenarios, and we talk more in detail about volume profiling and auction market theory. If you want to get in more into that, then please join me. And there's a link on this YouTube channel that you'll be able to get hold of. Okay. All right, well, guys, it's been real, and thank you very, very much for joining me at this time. And I'll see you again next week with an update on the market space, and hopefully with some more trades that we're going through. All right, take it easy.